So what then is the situation like in Nagorno-Karabakh today after that mass exodus of its population? Joining me live on the line now is Marco Succi. He's the team leader for the International Committee of the Red Cross, and he's currently in the region's self-declared capital of Stepanakert. Thank you very much indeed, sir, for finding the time to talk to us today.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
It's been really hard for us journalists to get information out of Stepanakert in recent weeks, but you are there, you're on the ground, so just give us a sense of what you've witnessed.
After the large-scale movement population that took place after the 19th and 20th September military escalation, the city has been completely abandoned. The main city has been completely abandoned. So what we see every day is empty streets, empty shops, empty buildings, empty infrastructure. Some essential services like water supplies and electricity have remained pretty functional, while others are being restored, like, for instance, telecommunication, which also generated problems for those remaining because they couldn't connect anymore with their family members who crossed into Armenia. And that's one of our priorities right now, to reconnect family members. Right this morning, we got a couple of good news because we managed to find or to reconnect residents here in the city that Armenians call Stepanakert and the Azerbaijani Khankendi. A couple of residents are reconnecting them with the families in Armenia. In both cases, they were men deciding to stay while their families, wives, children, and parents left almost a week ago. This was really the first sign of life for since days. So that's really amazing. The joy, the relief for the families and also for our teams.
Yeah, and that is extraordinary. Forgive me for cutting across you there, but that is extraordinary that you've been there for several days and you've only found several ethnic Armenians who've chosen to remain. Explain to us about why those people have chosen to stay. Do you have any sense of the number of ethnic Armenians that are still in Stepanakert?
It's difficult to say. As I said, the city is completely deserted. Probably a few dozens, hundreds at best remained in the city. For the reasons why, it's difficult to ascertain. People felt the need to leave. Now, what was behind everybody's decision is difficult to know. We should also take into consideration how the situation was over the last month, since the disruption in the movement of people and goods along the Lachin corridor, which of course generated a lack of supplies, medical supplies, basic commodities, etc. So the situation was already difficult, and we shouldn't also forget the history of armed conflict and violence in this region for at least the past 30 years.
Indeed. And explain to us then what the Red Cross is trying to do now. You're saying very few ethnic Armenians remain in Stepanakert. Are you trying to get those few that remain out? What's your big job right now?
No, not really. In the wake of the military escalation, the priority was, of course, to contribute and support the evacuation of the urgent medical cases, wounded in particular. Then you certainly know or would remember the deadly explosion of the fuel depot, causing almost 200 deaths. Even there, we contributed to treat some of these injured. We evacuated more than 70 wounded into Armenia. But this was the first phase. At this point, what our priority is to find the vulnerable with social conditions in need of being evacuating or medical treatment. That's our first priority. And then, of course, provide supplies for those who chose to remain. And indeed offering forensic support. Let's not forget the importance of making sure people do not disappear. I mean, missing people don't disappear in the sense that the bodies and the human remains do not get mishandled and misidentified. The importance of
identifying bodies, absolutely. Can I just ask you a final question? You're painting a picture for us of effectively a ghost town in Stepanakert. The vast majority of ethnic Armenians have left. Are there any signs of Azerbaijanis there? Are there Azerbaijani soldiers in the streets? Are there any signs that Azerbaijani civilians are planning to move to Stepanakert?
What I can tell you is that we see a few police patrolling the city. For the rest, I cannot really confirm any of those. What for sure is that there are still humanitarian needs in the city and probably outside the city. This would be the next priority for us once we have managed to reach out to the vulnerable here in the city, including the elderly, the wounded, the sick, and the disabled.
Marco Succi from the International Committee of the Red Cross talking to us live there from Stepanakert, the self-declared capital of Nagorno-Karabakh. Thank you very much.